And we're live. Sorry, I was talking to Ryan about going shooting a wash and talk. I'm going to wash the, what do we call it? Was it called wash and talk? Is that what we call it now? Where we're...
That's what you called it originally. Then you changed
Wash and
it.
talk.
Wash and chat sounds a little
You say wash
tooly.
and chat every
Yeah, that's
video.
goofy. I don't chat. Chat's for babies. Anyway, what's up, everyone? I'm back. Back, about to be gone again. God dang it, I just want to stay home. This trip's going to be fun, though. Going out to San Francisco and Monterey. So I leave Monday for that, and I'm going to hang out with my uncle. My uncle is like my childhood, my lifetime idol. You know, he's the uncle that like went to California and was in the Navy, and you know he's an engineer, and so I'm going out to hang out with him. I haven't been to San Francisco since 1998.
Wow.
That was he flew me and my friend Joe out there and like showed us. I think about that trip as, you know, culturally sort of changed my life. You know, it made me think bigger. It made, you know, Villanova seem smaller. You know, when we toured, we went and took a tour of Stanford and Cal Berkeley, and then, you know, obviously went around town. And his prerequisite was that if we were going to come, that he would pay for everything, but we had to eat whatever he suggested. So we went to all these like Hamburger Mary's and the Stinking Rose, and we went to like a East African restaurant and ate with our hands. It's just all kinds of cool stuff.
The Stinking Rose, is that the garlic place?
Yeah,
Everything is garlic.
I
I've been
can't
there.
wait to go back there. This place is awesome.
They have garlic ice cream.
Do they?
Yeah, for dessert. I did not get that when I went. But.
So yeah, he's a big influence in my life. He's my dad's younger brother. And you know, he's helped build many businesses from an engineering perspective, and so I think he's doing something with robotics now, but he lives like in Haight-Ashbury, like right downtown. So I'm going a few days early to go hang out with him and my aunt and my cousins, who I haven't seen in quite since my wedding. And I think it's since my wedding. He's been back since, but I've seen him, but not my aunt. And so I'm going to go stay with them for a couple of days. And then Mike, you guys all know Mike. You know, Mike is coming to get me, and then we're going to go down to Monterey and do all kinds of cool stuff. Oh, I'm going to tour P&S, so we'll get some videos of that. I'm going to try to get them to spill the secrets of the of Bead Maker, and which of course they won't. And then you know, we'll do Monterey. And we're going to be touring Gordon McCall's new facility in Monterey, which is going to be awesome. Maybe check out his personal garage. Yeah, it's a crazy life I live. So anyway,
All right, so that's next week. Let's kind of rewind here to last week. So last week you went to California. So before we get to that, we had another co-host last week. Your business coach Rick sat down with me. So did you watch that? Did you listen to it? What did you think about that?
yeah, we need more. I need more. I want more. So I think we'll have Rick on here maybe in May. I'll have Rick on, and I'll dig into what I'd like to do is go through the story from start to finish. You know, to you know, tell it from my perspective, and then him fill in the gaps of all this crap that I've been spouting, which is my take on his coaching. But you know, the most powerful message that I think he has is that they don't do anything. You know, they aren't physically coming in and revamping the business. No, it's a lot of it's just words. You know, so he doesn't espouse to like, they don't take credit for the business. They don't take credit for the decision making. They just steer and pose questions and make you think. And then the key is to being receptive to that and being coachable. But I think if you notice, there's no like snake oil. There's no like, oh, Matt's just being duped by this, you know, wise old man. No, he has a body of knowledge from seeing people's businesses from a different perspective, and I pull from that rather than just following this, you know, this guru, because it's very, very different than that. And I've had several mentors like this throughout my life where where I've, they come at a time that when necessary, and then I've been open to that. And then this is a formal relationship where we have a formal schedule, which is even better than a regular mentor, because mentors come and go, but this is like an actual, there's an exchange of value there, and that, I pay him for his advice, and so we have a regular schedule, which is awesome. So yeah, I'd like to sit down and go through the story of OG, and the wins and losses, and the I've done a lot more winning than losing, but the mistakes and the angst and the learning process around it. It's something that someday I'll probably write a book on.
Yeah, there were a lot of positive comments in that video, and I think people agree with you. When he said, I forget his exact words. I should have written it down. But Coach, basically, I have nothing of value to say. It's something close to that. And I sit in here with meetings with you and him sometimes, and I've seen it. And a lot of what he does is just ask probing questions so that you come to the answer that it was somewhere way back here, probably in the back of your head anyway. He helps guide. So yeah, I think there was probably an appetite for more of that, so that'd be good.
Yeah, and I think what's going to happen in the future is that less coaching of me and more coaching of the business, of the team, of you and Bryce and my dad and the department leads, and coaching to that and finding little nitpicky issues that can become big issues that really hurt culture, and then getting people to strive to be better, to do more, and to promote. If I get promoted, then you or Bryce and my dad, the management structure promotes themselves as well as the organization grows. That's stuff that you'd never know that you really need guidance on, and something that you could either maybe fumble through and maybe get it right, or just have a coach to help you not make as many mistakes. So that I think it's really powerful. And that's part of what I want the membership program to be. Is I want it to be a lot of that discussion about the detail of the learning process, what's happening in the business.
All right, so he was here because you were back in California again. So talk about that. What was your experience out there? How did things go? What exactly were you doing out there that you can talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I still have an NDA and non-disclosure agreement on the company that we were doing it with, but our Facebook group was selected to be featured in a campaign pertaining to community. I've said this a bunch, and so they flew me out there, and they did most people locally, I guess, because they pulled in some of the groups that they were going to feature. They pulled people in that were the leader of the group, but they asked for local residents, so they didn't have this huge budget of travel. But flew out, showed up, and because they bumped the shoot a day, and I showed up at the hotel was we had canceled my reservation. It was like 11 o'clock Pacific, so 1 o'clock my time. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm sleeping on the street. And so good news is I ended up staying at the Four Seasons, which was just the most amazing experience I've ever. It's just can't even explain it. It's just that there's a different class. And of course, I don't feel like I belong in that class. But then I start to question, well, why not? I could get used to this. It's just, and it's right in Hollywood, and there's lots of that Hollywood elite come there for lunch. For whatever reason where it's located, there's a lot of business done for the studios there, and so there's a lot of studio executives and things like that meeting. So I'm just sitting there at lunch, just as a fly on the wall, just hearing some of this stuff. Is pretty incredible. just to see and be in that place is pretty cool. And the only reason I ended up there was that like every single hotel was booked. I'm not staying at Motel 6. But I was going to try to stay in something similar, and not similar to the Jeremy that I was supposed to be in. And I just called, and I'm like, well, let me just call the Four Seasons. And sure enough, I ended up there. But then I ended up at the, and I explained this in that video, but I ended up at the shoot. They rented a neighborhood, like a real neighborhood. They rented it for like a month or something like that. Probably paid a bunch of money to rent these homes from people. And the difficulty is that it wasn't like OG level. They just put together some Home Depot cabinets and some linoleum, and and they're shooting the video from 20 feet away, and it's more about, it's going to be like a montage. And so there's some other OG guys that were selected that came different days. I wasn't there the same day as them, but I had to go to makeup and wardrobe and the whole thing.
How'd that go? You wear makeup?
It was really weird. Yeah.
Don't act like that was the first time.
Oh, yeah. That was the first time. I in fact, I'm in the chair kind of freaking out a little bit about, I don't know. Felt like I was at the doctor's office or something. And then I went and I'm hoping that some of the behind the scenes stuff where I tell some of the story, I'm hoping some of the behind the scenes stuff shows up. My guess is, because I'm on camera all the time, I think a lot of the other groups, you could just see the other people that were there. They're not used to being on camera as much. They're just running a group, a Facebook group of some sort. And so, they just kept asking me question after question. I was on camera for like an hour outside of the behind the scenes of this shoot. I don't know. We'll see. It might be on TV. It might be on. It's certainly going to be on the internet, or be on Facebook and Instagram, and be on other social platforms. So I don't know. We'll see.
Did they give you like a time, like a month,
No
6
idea.
months, a year?
It was the most like, I don't even know how to explain. It was like I ended up in an alien country, and they just said welcome, and shut up, and then you just got to figure out where you're supposed to go. And then they're like, all right, we need you over here. Get over here. And then they say, all right, we need you over there. And then there were like directors and assistant directors, and there was like 150 people, 200 people of this full Hollywood production. It was really odd.
Well, I want to get to this question here in chat that Jonathan asked while we're kind of in that still in that frame. Since you stayed at the Four Seasons, were you inspired or affected at all by their customer service to influence how you deal with OG customers? Their customer service training is a step beyond everything else. So did you notice anything like that? Or?
Yeah, and I think we do really well at this as well. Every single person there, you could tell, wanted to be there. And that was the crux of their whole thing. Forget they give me anything I ask for, because I know that's part of the Ritz-Carlton or the Four Seasons. That's part of their deal. They just get you anything you want. Forget that part, because I don't think we can deliver on. I don't think it's realistic in our business to deliver on that type of thing. But their graciousness of how they interact, of each one of their employees from top down, how they interact with people. And I'm hoping that we can have that same graciousness where someone comes here, where someone talks on the phone, but I'm not going to give everybody everything they want, because we'll get run, because we're dealing in high end products. A lot of it doesn't have huge margin. The hotel industry has a much bigger margin, because they're offering a service. At least they have a margin. Top line margin is higher, and then depending on how much they spend on facilities and staff and things like that. But yeah, there's a humbleness, a graciousness, a how are you doing type thing, hello type thing. We want you to be here type of attitude, and that's what I want this place to be. We want you to be here type attitude. And so it's going to be a hybrid of that, in that they're dealing in high-end products like this. There's going to be a certain demographic that are going to try to take advantage. We're really recognizing that now as our volume increases. Lots of fraud, lots of people lying about stuff that they have, and so we have to find a balance. I don't have any aspiration to just be everything to everybody and just take everything back and just take it in the shorts. I'm not interested in that. That's why I don't like to call it customer service. I want to call it more support. And so it's a little different than the Four Seasons experience, where, although I think it's still two-sided, there's a little less opportunity because they're not dealing in something technical. So we're dealing in something technical that requires people to really subscribe to the product that they're buying. They have to want it. And so I think that that we're going to deliver on a certain style and a certain brand, and we'll screw up along the way. And that's where I noticed several people when I say weird old men. I'm using weird old men as an example. I don't want a weird young man or a weird middle-aged female either to call and talk to me all day about something I've already given the answer to. Right? That to me is not what anybody's interested in dealing with. It's a waste of their time. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of everybody's time. I don't want them doing that to you or to whomever else part of the organization. You have to have a little bit of self-awareness and know your place. Know when you've used up your capital. And so I know some people are going to have more questions, but I don't want to just get a phone number and it's ringing off the hook all day, and there's the same 17 people that call every day to ask about a Pressol pressure washer that they're never going to buy. And if they do buy it, they're going to be a real pain in the rear. I'd rather not sell it to them and sell it to the guy who's going to work at it. Buy it and want it, enjoy it, and enjoy the process of putting it together, but just really likes the fact that they didn't have to fumble like I've had to fumble to figure out how to make the Pressol work. And so that to me isn't customer service. That is just providing support. I'm going to figure out some fancy name. We're going to brand it and call it that.
Yeah, and I think anyone who's come here to OG, we have a visitor right here from Norway right now sitting in with us. If you come here, we're not greeting you as a grumpy old man and saying, what do you want? Why are you here? We're very welcoming. We're very, hey, come on in, touch whatever you want, feel whatever you want, pull the towels, and pull stuff right off the shelf, and we give you the tour and try to make it an experience.
Because when there is a weird old dude that comes in and doesn't get it, I don't have the balls to tell him. I'm telling you right now, like I'm Mr. Tough Guy, but you've seen me with some weird people that come in here and I don't shut up. I give them all. You have to come and shut me down half the time. So I think that's where some guys are missing my message here, in that it's not that I don't want to serve and I don't want to provide a good experience. It's that it's hard to provide a good experience to a large number of people when you have 2 or 3 that are overstaying their welcome, and I'm not so good at shutting them down. I'll just keep pandering, and then I got this weird old dude on the phone. I can't get him off the phone, and so when I say, again, I'm using that as an example for when I say weird old man, some people get so offended because maybe they are a weird old man, and that's why, and they resemble that comment. So don't resemble that, don't do that. Don't call up and overstay your welcome. Be gracious, courteous, and understand when you've asked the 75th question that's been answered 5 times. Don't hem and haw on the phone. Don't hem and haw in an email. That's why? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to be the person that every company doesn't want to deal with? Is what I'm saying.
Just be a normal old man, not a weird old man. Normal old man's good.
Just don't be an old man. Be just a progressive, intelligent individual.
We're all going to be old men one day.
Yeah, of course. The beauty of staunch, intelligent, knowledge, older gentlemen is they get to the frickin' point. They don't jerk around. It's the weird ones that don't know how to shut it off. And they can be a weird young man too. We got those too. Just don't be that way. So
we got a suggestion here to read. Tim Ferriss' 4-Hour Work Week, if you haven't already, has interesting stuff regarding setting expectations to reduce returns, etc. So
yeah,
you have to do that.
And that's what it comes down to. And it's so tricky because I'm sharing my day in the life. I'm sharing with you my process of learning. I don't know any of this stuff. I don't know if I should have a phone. I don't know if we should or shouldn't. I don't know if I should do something crazy like have a 5-minute cutoff. I don't know any of this, and I'm sharing this discussion, this process, and I'm sharing the learning curve, and I'm speaking out loud some of the things that I'm thinking about, and some of those things are provocative to those that are easily triggered and easily offended, and some people are easily offended across the board. Some people are only I'm easily offended on certain things as well, and so I'm sharing that. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it, but if I mean, you know me, I'm not going to, like I say, this is how I speak. and I don't always act on things, but it's, do you want me to fake it? And some people do. They want me to fake it. Well, I'm not freaking going to. So just get lost. Stuff like that. Speaking like that.
Right.
Gets people all fired up. Well, go somewhere else. You don't have to tell me you're not going to buy from me. Just don't do it.
Leave telling somebody you're going to change the radio station, not listen to them anymore. It's okay.
Yeah, get out of here. Just go.
Let's see here. I want to circle back around to your trip to California, because while you were gone, there were a couple videos that were made, and some folks on Facebook and one of the Instagram followers asked about whether or not you knew anything about the videos that Michelle and I had, or if you were in on that. So what was your experience with those videos?
No, I had nothing to do with it. You guys decided to do that.
When did you see them?
I see them immediately, because I see them before they're even launched. I see them in the, so if I didn't want it, then I would have deleted it. But yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was funny. My cheeks were hurting. So
good.
So yeah, what I was planning on doing, which I'm not good enough to do, but I was going to bring you guys all in here, sit you down, and just start screaming. I was going to turn the webcam on and just start yelling nonsense, and then slam the door and walk out, and then have a camera sitting out there, let you guys all crap your pants. You say, "This is my channel, not yours. You guys don't get to choose." That's what I was going to do, but then I chickened out.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed them. There was a lot of positive feedback.
Oh, and I liked seeing the M3 rolling shots. That's all I freaking cared about.
They put a lot of work into that one.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, you might want to bring my gain down a little bit. I keep clipping myself, getting all fired up.
We show people just kind of the behind the scenes there and what really happens here sometimes. And be on the lookout. I have to read Danny Israel's question here real quick because he had a good one. This was a question for me, actually. He asked how my paint was looking with the no-wash Beadmaker Colonnade Eraser Topper. Is it the ultimate no-wash package for the discerning owner? Will there be a custom pack with these products and a Toyota Camry shirt?
So I decided we're going to launch the Camry shirt. Very limited edition. I think we're going to do 74 of them. So it'll be a shirt within a shirt, black with the Camry to match the Camry, as seen in the video.
There you go. So there were plenty of people in that video who commented they would buy that shirt. So we'll have to tag them when it comes out. It's gonna be.
Yeah,
that's a great shirt. Ryan spent a lot of time, maybe 4 or 5 seconds total, putting that shirt together. So
now we got to figure out how we're gonna print that picture on the, iPhone picture on the shirt.
That's great. The next video, and something that's also new to the store that I want to talk about here, because I know a lot of people were interested in this. The Pressol sprayers are now in the store. So just kind of talk about that and their addition and how you feel about them. And
yeah, so they're great. Let me explain the thought process here, because I know some people are just beside themselves, and I hate that I speak to the minority here, but I know what people are thinking, because it's what I'm thinking when I do something like this. I'm just making it up as we go along here. So I bought these bottles. Somebody, it was Gregory, owner of the source. Gregory sent me an email a while back and said, "Hey, I saw these bottles at this shop. You should check them out. They're from a company called Pressol." And so then I started Googling, couldn't find squat, and I finally found the Pressol site, and then found the bottles, and then they have 3 different kinds. 4 different types of bottles. And so I'm like, well, shoot, I gotta try to get these, but just Google searching, you find squat. So I finally found them on like eBay Denmark or something like that. And so I found one on Amazon UK, one on eBay Denmark, and another one somewhere else at some shop in, I don't know where, somewhere in Europe. And so, I paid each bottle had something like $80 in shipping, and then another $25 in duties, and the bottles were $20 or something. And I had the euro to dollar conversion, or dollar to euro conversion, and all this stuff. And so I'm $100+ per bottle to get the orange one, which didn't make the cut. And then I got one of the others and one of the black ones, or one of the green ones and one of the black ones. I couldn't even find the reds or the blues or any of those others to even try. and so I got them. So this was in like November, I think, November or December, whenever I was in Atlanta one time. And so I ordered the bottles and I got them, and I put some Adams tire and rubber, and people have kind of seen them in the background of videos, but I hadn't really talked about them because I didn't know if they were any good. They sprayed okay. So I don't really like dual pull, like double trigger type bottles, like the Quasars very much. And so they had some of the quirks of like that I don't like about the Quasar bottle. The sprayers are a lot like them. But the ergonomics are great. The bottles look great. They're a little funky, but they start to grow on you. And so I start to think about, I'm thinking about this from a perspective of I have a bunch of shelves out there. I have a bunch of shelves in my wash bay. And I start to think about what I would really like to have, because I have Griot's bottles and ammo bottles and McGuire's bottles, and so I've got all these Adams bottles, all these spray bottles. They're all junk. Griot's are the nicest out of all of them, but they're all garbage bottles, CarPro bottles. They're all not very good, ergonomically and structurally, and they all have cheap sprayers. And the Tolco sprayers are the best sprayers that we have, but they're still, cost on those is like $1.20. So they're just dirt cheap, really low quality stuff that are just designed to be consumable. And so this was the first bottle that I've got my hands on outside of a Quasar, which I didn't like very much. So you have Pressol, Quasar, and maybe a handful of other European type spray bottles that are, of higher ilk, of more expensive type bottles. And so I start to think about, well, if I put those on my shelf to match, is that something I want? Would that look good? And so I'm thinking about this. I have to think about this a little differently now because we have a business, but ultimately it comes down to, and excuse the selfishness here, is what bottles do I want? And if I want it, then other people want it. I'm sticking with that formula. If I want something, then other people might want it too. And so I brought the bottles, I tried them, they're okay, and then I called the company dozens of times. I've been talking about trying to get a hold of them, emailing back and forth, trying to get a hold of someone, and then work through a translator, and then finally, got someone on the line, and then we finally got on a Zoom meeting, and then finally did another meeting, and then talked about, how I could bring these here, and then they sent me some samples, which then took another couple of months, and so then I finally got all the bottles, and I could try them some more. Everyone seems to be working great, no issues. The spray pattern isn't perfect. They can't see, they're not see-through, and I'm like, we'd like lots of modifications to them, but that's not an option. Like, I can't just go to a company and say, hey, I'm going to buy like 500 bottles and I need you to completely rebuild it. They're just not going to do that. They're not even going to give me the time of day. It's hard enough to get them to let me sell it. It's hard enough to get them to buy it for myself than it is to sell it. And so this bottle is great. Let's say it's good. I want it to be great. I don't know if I can get it to be great. The Krenzla pressure washer is great right out of the box, and then I can make it really excellent by just doing a few modifications to it. Well, there aren't like modifications to bottles that you can do. It has to be you have to have a new injection mold, all this stuff, blow mold, or whatever the heck they make these things on. So I have a choice. I've had bottles for 4 months, 5 months. I got another batch I have for another month. I start putting, you see me, I filled it up with a bunch of other stuff, and everything seems to be great. And then I bought, what was it? Several months ago, we ordered, $20,000. Was it $13,000 worth of the bottle, something like that? Or €13, 15 US is what it ended up being, something like that. And how many bottles did we actually get?
We got 1,700 and something.
Okay, so we have 1,700 bottles, cost $13,000, something like that, $15,000, and then we had shipping and taxes and everything like that, and then I'm going to add some sort of margin to it. I'm making up the price because there is no price. These bottles aren't here, and so I just add a margin to it and then try to make a little bit of money off of it. And so we have bottles that are good, bottles that I've been using for 3 or 4 months. But bottles, I don't know how they're going to hold up when we throw them out into the wild. People putting God knows what in them. And so I came up with this idea that, hey, we want to, if I bought 100 bottles and I tested them and tried them, and then I went back to the company and said, hey, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. What's that going to do? There's nothing. They're going to say, okay, we're doing okay with them. They're not even going to respond to me. Right? And I'm going to try to develop, and I don't have any stake in this company. We barely even speak the same language. We don't speak the same language, so I have a translator. And so how in the world am I supposed to get them to make this the tip different so it it atomizes a little better without creating some sort of noise? No one in the U.S. makes a bottle anything like this, so I can't do that. Getting somebody to replicate it, I don't think they can. I don't think they can make something this good. Maybe they can. And so we have this bottle that's good, and then I can't create enough noise. I could sit here and test them for the next 6 or 7 years, but they're not going to get any better unless just something miraculous happens. And so here's what I dreamt up. I said, well, maybe what I could do is bring them in here and sell 1,700 bottles and create some noise. And then maybe we can create some sort of group where we share our findings. Doesn't work with this, doesn't work with that, we can start to figure out. And literally just this week, so now I have $1,700 of bottles, and I found one of the first product that doesn't work in it. CarPro Eraser ate through the tip twice. I'm assuming that if it ate through a tip twice, that I didn't have 2 defective tips, because they sure didn't look defective. And so that product, whatever that alcohol-based product, didn't work in it. And we're probably going to find 20 other products that don't work in them, and then we'll be able to compile the data and say, well, it's this is the ingredient that doesn't work. Do we just avoid it, or can we improve it? And then we have 1,700 case studies. And then if we get through the 1,700, which how many we sold? Well over 1,000.
Yeah.
So we're almost all of them are gone. So clearly there are other people that are willing to take a flyer with me. They're not taking $100 per bottle flyer. They're taking a $20 per bottle flyer if you include shipping. And it really angers me when somebody, you can say what you want about me, but when you call people that are willing to try something, sheep, is ridiculous. Somebody who's willing to try something is a freaking lion. They'll eat your soul. Give me a break. Don't give me that crap. These are the same people that they're stuck in their job and they never get promoted because they can't figure out why. It's because they suck at everything and all they do is put everybody else down. And so the whole thesis here is that yes, I brought in bottles. We could wait 6 years, just 6 or 7 years, and then I'll come out with it, or I won't, because it will never be any better. So this is just another way, another thought process I had, and to bring the bottles out and to create something, try it. It might not work. We might not get anybody to listen to us. We might have all wasted $15, and I'm sorry for that. But I don't think anybody that's going to do this, that buy them, is looking for an apology. They just don't. They're lions. They don't care. It's $15 means nothing to them. They're going to go out and work harder and do better and be courteous and be kind and change the world. And that's what I'm attempting to do, and this is one way to do it. I think people just think I have $75 million and I'm just stealing money from everybody. And so I should just eat it and just send bottles out for free to everybody. I just wouldn't do it. Why would anybody do that? You just wouldn't do it. And then it wouldn't happen. So instead, I'm going to do it. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to pay for the time to do it so I can keep doing this and do more, and then pander to the people that appreciate it, which is almost everybody.
So you mentioned something in there about collecting data and having, and I think I saw in some of the comments, we want to have one place for people to go and to send feedback and say, hey, this works well. This
I don't know what that is yet, if that's
okay.
your question.
Yeah. So
Bryce, you got to figure that out like tomorrow.
But that's the goal, is to have a...
Well, what I don't want to do is, and so I have thought about this quite a bit, I don't want to put it up yet because I don't want your feedback from 5 minutes in. I want your feedback 2 months from now. This process is going to take a little bit of time, and so I'm going to wait. So part of the reason why I haven't gone and set it up is because I don't want it. I don't care if it showed up in the UPS drop kick the box. We know what that is. What I care about is you've been using it with McGuire's D101 for 4.5 months and it works great, or you used it with CarPro Eraser and it ate through the bottom of the bottle or something. That's what we want to know, and then we can compile a list of what works, what doesn't work, and then I can go to a company and hopefully improve it. What would you like to see? And we create noise. And then who knows? And maybe it isn't even Pressol that listens to us. Maybe we take it to somebody else and say, hey, look, we've got 3,000 people who took a flyer on a really expensive bottle and tried it. And you can speak to this, but if I brought a container over, the bottles would probably cost $2 or $3, $4 less. You know, I mean, we had to pay an exorbitant amount of money to get 1,700 bottles here. It was a good 40% of the cost, just to get them here. And then the volume. So I would have had a volume discount, and I would have had less duties, taxes, fees, all that stuff. If I would have bought, or at least it would have been more, but it would have been spread out across. Right. I mean, we had over $2 a bottle in just fees and charges to get it here. But I had to pay $100. You guys had to pay $6 in nuisance stuff. So I think most people are cool with that. Clearly, we sold a freaking 1,000 bottles in like 36 hours. It's expensive bottles. And I want to do that. I want to just buy from somebody that did all the work. This would be great.
There's a lot of bottle orders that came in, so if you haven't gotten yours yet, don't worry, we're working on it. It's a lot to get through.
Yeah, but you want to get, if you want any of them, you're going to want to get them, because I'm going to wait a little bit before I order more. If we find that 30% of them are failing with half the products we use, then that's no good. So I want to, I don't want to just start popping. If I was trying to screw people, then I would just keep jamming them down people's throats. No, instead I want to get this amount of bottles out in the wild, and then we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think the red 750s are sold out, but everything else we still have some of.
I didn't think anybody would buy the red ones.
Yeah.
But
those are the first ones to go.
Yeah.
Want to address a couple questions here that popped up in chat for the people who are with us today. Spencer wanted to know how you clean your Rupes pads at the end of the day. If you're looking to use them again the next day or on the next car, what do you do with them?
I don't do this, but a really efficient thing to do would be to have a bucket of water with some, pretty heavy concentrated all-purpose cleaner in it. And so when you let's say you're using 8 pads on a car, as you take each pad off, just dunk it in that bucket and let it sit there. And then what I do is I wash them in the sink. Because I'm not a pro detailer, I'm not rolling through 50 pads or 80 pads a week. I don't even put them in the darn bucket. I just let them sit, and usually it's weeks because I hate cleaning them. But I take them in my kitchen sink. I put the water on like as hot as my hands can stand, because I'm going to be standing there washing them for an hour. And I swirl some Dawn on them, and kind of work it in. But the problem with Dawn, if you talk to any pad company, like talk to David Patterson from Lake Country, says you don't want to use Dawn or Palm Olive or whatever, Ajax or whatever other. You don't want to use that because it leaves something behind. It's why your hands don't get totally destroyed by using that alkaline soap, is because it leaves something behind. And so then my idea was, somebody had mentioned they clean their pads with pretty heavily concentrated Micro Restore. And so I added to the process. I have Micro Restore diluted. I think I have it it's like 25% Micro Restore and 75% water. And so whatever that dilution is, 4-to-1 or something like that. And so I 3-to-1. So what I do is I take and then I spray down the pad with Micro Restore after, to clean up the leftover residual or most of the residual from Dawn, and then I just let it, wring it out and let it sit there. So each pad takes a good 3 to 5 minutes to clean, if not a little longer. And then that's how I do it. I've been doing that for years. I've been doing the Dawn thing for years, like since the beginning. But the most efficient way to do is get them pre-soaked. That way you could use less soap. But again, I just throw them I throw them in the little bin, and then I come and wash them whenever I darn well feel like it.
Quick bead maker question here from the chat, KC Images. Do you just keep layering it? When do you repolish?
You'll redo your last step when you get contaminated or scratched. So one or the other or both. Same thing with a coating, and this is why 5, 6, 7 year coating claims really doesn't matter whether it lasts or not. It's when you run your hand across the surface and you feel all the crunchy stuff, then you got to remove it. And when you remove it, you're going to scratch it. You're going to mar it. Probably not scratch it, but mar it. And so then in order to get it back to that same depth and clarity, you're going to want to, strip it completely, and then you're going to want to polish it. And hopefully it's just a quick, finishing polish. A Sonex Perfect Finish and a yellow pad, or even like a Menzerna 3500 and a white pad, just to jewel it up. That's if that's hopeful. So that would be a scenario where you're not scratched and marred, or you have towel marks and water spots and things like that. You just have a contaminated surface. So if you're just contaminated, you're going to decontaminate it, and then you're going to jewel it up, and then you reapply. And that's hopefully 9 months, 12 months in, depending on what the conditions are like. Maybe it's only 4 months if it's, you're in a really harsh environment, you're parked under a tree all the time or something like that. So I've had like my daily car back in the day when I drove 100,000 miles, in 3 or 4 years, I would have to do it once a quarter. And that's where a coating probably would come in that application. If you're having to re-wax it once a quarter, then you're probably going to want to coat the thing, and hopefully it holds up for 12, 14, 18 months, something like that. And so that's the process. Now, if you're scratched and you're marred and scratched and towel marks and things like that, now you're going to polish it. And so you probably only need to do that if you're washing properly, maybe once every couple of years. Or you make a mistake or something introduced into the equation they didn't know. Like I had my blue GT3 before, where I had something with the Adams pads scratched it all up, and so I had to go back. Actually, no. What happened with the blue GT3 was when the rat got it, and I did a wipe down. So it had like little sand, and I scratched the whole thing because I did it like a detail spray or a waterless wash wipe down. Scratched the whole crap out of the whole car, and then I had to polish it. Like compound it, not just polish it.
Jeff on Facebook, and I think this kind of relates to something you just said here. When taking a clean, protected car to a car show, let's say 150 miles away, what's the best way to clean it once you get there?
I would O&R it. So I'd try to find a way to get some water. That's where like having a bucket with a gamma seal could work, because you could actually prep your O&R and just, hopefully don't drive too crazy, or you can lock the bucket down. Gamma seals are usually pretty watertight, they have a seal on them. So I would use O&R, bring like a dozen towels, and then do an O&R wipe down, just to introduce some water. The other option is to use a waterless wash. I think waterless wash could be done too. It's a little bit riskier, but in a perfect world, you'd have like a 3-gallon bucket with some O&R in it, with a gamma seal on top. You could seal it up, bring the water with you. When you're done with the car, just dump it out. That's what I would do.
That was from Jeff on Facebook. And Jeff, there's actually a video. You can just search waterless wash on the YouTube channel if you want to see that. Masahiro says hello. He stopped by the garage the other day. I remember you, Masahiro. Mm-hmm. Glad you're here.
Yeah, cool. It's so cool to put faces to names and then to see them that they actually do watch. It's just humbling. Right. So cool.
Well, good. We'll read this for you here in case you missed this from Cameron.
Oh, we got some monies.
Nothing but kind words towards the entire OG crew. Chris was very helpful about my Rupes availability question. So more thumbs up for Chris out there. That's good.
The whole customer service conversation, what I'm getting at is we're just humans. And the people buying us are just humans. Why do we have to have this formalization of like, we owe you something, you owe us something? Let's just drop all that and let's just do what's right.
Right.
And that's it. This is just plain, it's not complicated. We're going to do what's right. And sometimes we're going to like say, hey, ask you some questions. Hey, we sent that gun to you and you said it wasn't in there, but man, we usually don't make those mistakes. And then you can usually kind of sniff it out when somebody's trying to screw you because they have a second pressure wash and they want one for free. Or it really did disappear, And so we're human, you're human, let's just work it out together. And let's have a little bit of courtesy on both sides. That's what I'm hoping to create. And the only way to do that is to have agreements up front,
One of your more recent videos with the air-cooled Porsche, your ride-along for that, inspired a few questions here. Some folks are wondering if you like that experience. Do you think you'd maybe want to get one of those sometime, maybe after the 1M or after the Corvette, says Lucas?
Yeah, I don't think, I purposely didn't drive it. One, because I didn't want to drive with a passenger. I'm still struggling a little bit with that. And then it's a, expensive, non-replaceable car. And I didn't want the pressure of doing that. That was one reason why I didn't drive. The other reason is that I'm not ready for that yet. And so I want to experience it when it's time to experience it. And so I don't want it so badly right now because I couldn't build one. And I want to build it. So what I would like to do at some point is, when I have my garage, I would get a rotisserie, and have, do like a frame up at restoration, like a resto mod type where I'm doing modern suspension, modern brakes, and shipping the car out to different places for different, experts to do, and then shooting video. And so I'd like to do that at some point. I would say that's probably like a 2-year type plan. And build, and it'll probably be like a $200,000 car, really, really not a Singer type, but a really nice OG type, functionally excellent, air-cooled Porsche. And then by the time I finished it, I'd probably be done with it, drive it for a while and be done with it. I don't have any long-term aspirations to have a collection of air-cooled Porsches. I think it would also make sense that when we do have some sort of economic pullback, to go and buy one then. They're just massively overinflated in comparison to where they were not too long ago. I don't want to say overinflated because maybe that is what they're worth, especially as it become more scarce as people get them and chop them up and mess them up. I'm going to buy one and chop it up and put all kinds of cool stuff on it that will make it not original anymore. So yeah, Brandon's a good friend of mine, and he has one, and his is super super low, which is just a cool style. Obviously I probably wouldn't make it that low, but it I wanted to experience it, and so I'll probably drive one at some point, maybe his or something like it, and but that would be a year or two down the road. But it's something I'd like to build, and I'd like to do what I could do. And then send it out or bring in experts to work on different things together, and I think it could be really cool. So yeah, that is on my longer term agenda of building probably something like an 80 SC or something like that, maybe a 964. I'd probably do something a little rarer than a 964.
I'll take another one here from the chat from that bearded veteran, wondering what window tint Matt prefers for heat rejection, 3M, crystalline, or Suntech, something else?
So I've had 3M, Suntech, Lumar, and then Formula One is Lumar's higher end version. I've never had some of the obscure stuff. I've never had Huber Optic, one of it's called something like that. So I've had largely all of the 3M stuff. So I've had all of the usual suspects, the big brands, the big names. And I've had virtually all of their different iterations on different cars. My favorite window tint is Lumar CTX or Formula One Pinnacle. So that's a heat-rejecting ceramic type. What I prefer to do is an 80% on the windshield. I've gone as light as 35% on windshields before. So I've done the 50 and the 35%. It becomes problematic at night to see. And you can tough it out for the cool factor, but I like to do something that's just really good at heat rejecting or decent at heat rejecting to take the edge off. So Lumar Air Blue 80 is what I do on all windshields. I've got to get the M3 and the 1M done. And then I'll do CTX like 20% on the sides and the back, which isn't legal, but I've never once had an issue. So Lumar Formula One, their Formula One Pinnacle would be the best choice, and their CTX is also really great. I've just always had the best luck with Lumar. The clarity always seems to be the best. Crystalline always has some funky issues. 3M Color Stable, Suntech, I forget what this, the Suntech CIR, it always looked milky to me. The 3M Color Stable isn't a heat-rejecting ceramic type, but the Lumar CIR or the Suntech CIR, as I have it on my GT3, and it's real milky. Doesn't have the clarity that Lumar has. So my favorite has always been Lumar.
Anel wants to know, what do you think of the Sony A6400 camera?
I'd rather have a Canon 80D. I'd rather have a Canon or even a G7X over that thing.
Which one is that?
The problem with the Sony stuff is you can't hold it. You can't carry it.
That one doesn't even have.
Yeah, there's no stabilization in it. It's a great photo camera for being such a small compact. It'll shoot 4K, 4K 30, which sucks. That's what we're doing with 4K 30 camera here on the A7 III. So I just don't think there is a perfect camera because I like little bits of each one of them. Sony autofocus Bryce tells me it's great. I guess it's good. But the Sony lenses are kind of cool and the body's small and it's mirrorless. But I don't know. I'd rather have a Canon 80D if you're going to do any video stuff. Or even what's the Canon, I think 6D or 7D. You don't want a 5D, like the 5D Mark IV doesn't do as well, hand holding and stuff. So, an 80D is kind of like, that's the Casey Neistat shoots pretty much all his videos on 1080p 60. But I wouldn't get lured into 4K because you can't hold that darn Sony. You can't hold it and carry it in 4K. Yeah, even in a gimbal is going to be rough. It's just super jittery and jumpy. There's no stabilization. So that's why I always end up grabbing my darn Canon G7X. Even though that thing, the focus is really loud, I can hand hold that thing no problem and I get a relatively stable image. Keep coming back to that.
One thing you want to avoid, the Canon EOS R, RP, or junk. Don't get that.
I like the EOS R. I almost bought one.
Yeah, until you saw how terrible it was.
So we have differing opinions here.
No, you didn't tell me that we don't force Sony's into 4K. I don't know how I missed that they only do 4K 30.
I told you to wait.
Yeah, they only do 4K 60. So I've got $10,000 worth of darn Sony cameras, and I'm in it. I'm stuck with them.
Tonmoy here, he actually says he started working at Facebook. So while you're out there, if you want to get a tour of their campus, let him know.
Shoot.
He wants to know what you'll be driving when you come for the Monterey meetup, but I think you said you're riding up with Mike, right?
Yeah, I'm just going to be jumping shotgun with people. I don't really want to drive. I'm getting closer.
Gotcha.
Getting medicated.
So Tom Moy, if you're still tuning in, you can email Matt at Obsessed Garage.
We're headed to the garage and car guy, eventually having a full-time driver because I can't drive myself. Shoot.
Let's see here. We want to talk about a video actually just put out yesterday on Instagram only about another new product we have with those extension cords. So first of all, we want to tell any of that story, and then one question someone had, they want to know if they were rated for 20 amp. So they could use their Krenslow or something else.
Bryce, can you pull up that email of the specs? Can you look at... it's in the other category over there on the left. It's 12 gauge, 12.3, 3 conductor 12 gauge wire. So it's it's thicker than your normal to 14 gauge. So what happened with that? I was at McGuire, so this happened pretty quickly. This wasn't like something that I was like dying to have. I've always, I thought it would make sense at some point to have extension cords in the store because it applies to polishing and whatever else we're doing with the battery tenders and things like that. But this dude Michael showed up. He's a longtime detailer. He lives in Irvine area. I think he's in Anaheim, Irvine. And so I'm at McGuire's, and he came to the open house, and he salesman me hard, and which was fine. And he said, "Look, I don't want to pitch you, but I've got something I think you're gonna like." So he brought me one of the power cords, and I touched it, and it was like I knew immediately. So they're rated the 12 gauge, 25 all the way up to 100 feet is 15 amp, 125 volts, 1875 watts capable. So yeah, no 20 amp cable. I think you really need a 10 gauge wire to do that. You could probably put it on there, but it's not rated for that. But anyway, he brought me one. I took it home with me, and I brought it here. At first glance, it doesn't look very pliable because it's a shiny jacket. So it looks, but it's great, just great. And it says Obsessed Garage on it. So this company is like not something you know. I think it's like Mil Spec Industries or CWC. So it's not like a brand. It has a Pro Lock, so I think they source a Pro Lock, which I think is a brand that power cord people know of. But they source all of the parts and they assemble it, and then it has a gosh darn lifetime warranty, of any sort of manufacturer defects. And yeah, it's great. So we should have that up here in the next day or two.
And that's 25 and 50 foot, is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So people will get kind of confused. I think the pricing is pretty spot on at $39.95 for a 25 and $49.95. There are some other competitors that are say $30, but they're not going to be. A lot of times they're not. Like some guy made a comment on Instagram saying, "Hey, I just bought one with a Pro Lock fitting on it that was $31 for a 50 footer," but that was likely a 14 gauge. So it's not. This isn't like a common power cord you find at the store. And then 25 feet is perfect for the garage for pretty much anybody. Then you don't have to coil up all 50 feet of it. It's just clean, man. I'm pumped about it. It's not like something I'm gonna market the heck out of, but I'm gonna have it in the store and have it available and make sure people get the right one. Instead of trying to buy it somewhere for $6 cheaper and you get some funky knockoff.
Couple quick questions here. Have you tested any of your new Meguiar's stash that came in, those samples?
Yeah, we did some. So the interior cleaner stuff on the seats, the leather cleaner, the interior detailer. What else did we? That was it. I do need to try D101 diluted, 10-to-1 for interiors that people seem to really like, leaving like a nice clean matte finish behind. Yeah, the leather cleaner was okay. I still think there's something about, like Bryce and I were playing with the 1M seats that were sitting on the lift out there, and that Swiss Vax leather cleaner, I don't know what it is, I don't know what's in it, but it just made the darn leather feel cleaner, softer, looked better. And this is just the cleaner. It wasn't even like any kind of conditioner or anything like that. The problem is it's like $90 for a little bottle, where the Meguiar's is. But there was a remarkable difference between the two. I mean, it was noticeable. And I don't know. I think I'm still going to do the Swiss Vac stuff. I really got to get moving on this darn interior package, because if I don't, the reason why I haven't done it in the last several months, I've been ready to do it, but I keep changing my mind on stuff. I need to just stick with what I know, launch it, get it out there. I know it works, and then we can improve it.
Well, related to Meguiar's, then any progress on smaller bottles of hyperdressing?
Yeah, it's likely going to be diluted, so it's going to come in a 32-ounce bottle, 1-to-1, which then to get it 3-to-1 we'll figure out, or 3.5-to-1 we'll figure out whatever dilution that is. So it's not going to be fully concentrate, but it'll be cheap, cheaper. It'll be in the teens, I think, it'll cost. And even diluted 1-to-1, you're going to get years worth of use out of it. So yeah, we're Marcus Kleiss from Meguiar's and I were talking about that. We're probably 6 months out on that. They have a lot of projects they're working on, but yeah, it's coming.
This is a good question from John Bartlett. Were you able to keep up with the new diet, nutrition while traveling? Traveling always seems to be a setback for most people.
Yeah, I'm in the process of building my transformation vlog. So every day I'm capturing some footage of what I've been doing. So I'm at 235 now. I was 242, but I'm doing it macro based, very specific, very normal, no crazy fads. I'm not doing anything outside that I can't deliver on. I'm not even doing any kind of intermittent fasting. I'm just training hard, once a day. And probably 5 to 6 days a week, and eating around 2,400 calories. So just a normal whole food, very heavy organic program that somebody is preparing for me. I'll share more of that in the vlog, and so I'm hoping to have a full transformation from 242 to 205 over the next probably, I would guess, probably 5 to 6 months it's going to take me to get there, and then maintain that lifestyle. So I think you've seen this. I've had a pretty significant, in the last couple of weeks, I've had a lifestyle shift. I've invested a lot of money in this, and have taken the weight off of me and Michelle to prepare this stuff. I'll share more if it works. So we're in a trial period to see if this works. And so that's what we're doing. So yeah, I maintained really well, and so I'm checking in with my nutritionist, checking in with them on traveling. I didn't gain any weight. I didn't lose any weight traveling. But I was only gone for 3 days. This week will be tough because I'm going to be gone for 7 days or 6 days or something like that. But yeah, I'm doing well, and it's happening. It's time to stop cringing at the chubbiness.
We had 3 or 4 people here in the chat ask if there was any sort of update on OGHQ version 3.0. Any new news there?
No new news. I talked to him today. So we have, I'd sent the plans of what that Mark sent me. He sent me a mock, which I'm using as our base plan. So I sent that to the architect. The architect's going to come back to me. They've already staked out where they're going to pour, the street and stuff like that. He's working with the city on sewer and all this is all the preliminary lineup. He has pricing coming back on the building, and so I've sent him what I'm going to do for the media, office there, that little house, and how we're going to change the construction there. So we're making some progress, but slowly. Now is all the permitting, so we're probably still 2 months out from even getting anywhere.
We're going to have a groundbreaking ceremony where we wear hard hats and stuff. You can do that?
Likely not. Ribbon cutting?
Yeah, there you go.
No.
You want to give an update? I know you posted a picture. We haven't seen any videos yet, though, about the Sunjo SPX 9004 and 9007 Pro. We get emails about those a lot.
Yeah. They're not good. The 9004 is really, really sensitive to orifice size. And so when we first tested it, we got less than 1 gallon per minute. I was dancing around a little bit on that one. I'm like, happy. You guys, I told you this thing sucks. But then made some adjustments. We thought maybe you had a defective unit because we tested the 9007, and 9007 gave us what we thought. Around 1.4 gallons per minute. The pressure is a lot less on it than they rate it. So the interesting thing about those is they've put on a rated spec. So there's the max spec, which is useless, and then there's the rated spec. And so they rated it. So the 9004 is 1,000 psi, 1.8 GPM. And so I think what we measured, in order to get a decent flow, to get close to that 1.8 GPM, we were getting 790 psi. So we're really sacrificing pressure, and there's a big difference between 700 and 950. That takes you way below the sweet spot. The sweet spot's 1,000. So we want 1,000 psi and as much flow as possible. So it was very clear to me that, so let's say that thing's 350 to 450, depending on what crazy stupid sale you get it on. And then you're going to have to spend, money on fittings and things like that to get it set up. I would much, much rather spend, the money and get the Comet. Comet is legitimate. It's a legitimate 1,000 PSI, 1.9 gallons, 1.89 gallons per minute. It has a hose that's better than the hose that comes with the Sunjo. I would still get a new hose and everything. So the Comet ends up being about $1,000, where the Sunjo is going to be somewhere around, around $600-700 to get it all set up with a good hose and gun and all of that. But there's no question you'd choose the Comet over the Sunjo. The other problem is Sunjo just keeps running, doesn't turn off. So don't cheap out because you need it like this week. Wait another couple of paychecks and get a darn Comet. And hopefully we'll have supply of the Comets coming up here. I wouldn't then even argue just wait another couple of months to get a Krensla, but I think they did what we'd expected. At first I was shocked. And that's because we were using nozzles to get a decent amount of pressure. So if you get 1,000 psi out of the SPX 9004, you're getting like 0.9 GPM. So as soon as you create any pressure with that pressure washer, you lose all flow. So that tells me the pump is not very good.
I think you even said there was a lower model Sun Joe that you'd take above that for.
Yeah, I just buy I'd buy the 4000, the SPX 4000.
Had similar or better numbers, right?
Yeah, you could take that off the cart and put it mounted to the wall. Yeah, for $110, and then it turns off. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So and then you're dealing. So the only thing that might be questionable is that the longevity of the $400 one, it's a lot heavier. So it's theoretically more stout and should last longer. But yeah, it did exactly what I expected them to do. It's pretty solid. The build construction isn't bad, unlike the cheap ones. It's just the performance is not great.
So I know we're getting close to the end of testing pressure washers. I think you said maybe AR Blue Pro Line.
Yeah, I've got to get the 630 TSS hot and the TSS to test those. That one doesn't make a lot of sense to me because it's $800, for that thing. So just buy a Krenzla. We'll see what spec wise what it does. I think it's rated at 2 gallons a minute, 2.2 gallons a minute, something like that, and much higher pressure. So we'll see what we get. The Sun Joes are rated at much higher pressure and flow than they actually get. Just like even the Krenzlas and the Comets are rated at higher pressure and flow than they actually get in the real world. And so what matters is that we've referenced it, right? We've created a scale by doing the same thing to each one with the same parts and pieces. And so, yeah, I got to test those. Probably get the Briggs and Strattons. For whatever reason, the Stanleys seem to be real popular. I don't understand why people have to be so darn difficult. You're buying some cheap pressure washers. Buy from the ones that we've tested, for gosh sakes.
Well, and that leads into an Instagram question here from D. Siggy. Do you plan to do the Power Stroke line at Costco or the Greenworks Elite from Costco.com?
No. If it's Costco specific, then no. Who the heck buys a pressure washer at Costco? I guess it's lots of people.
Oh.
I don't know. I buy Dunkaroos at Costco. That's it.
Not anymore.
I never have any of those memberships.
2 quick questions here. Would you consider carrying 3/4-inch Prevost piping connectors for wall mount solution for those of us who obsessed? All right.
Why would you want 3/4? 1 inch looks better. We need to pick one size, so just do 1 inch. I can get you whatever you want, but I'm going to stock 1 inch. I have to pick one. So why not 1 1/4? Why not 2 inch? Why not 3? It's just one.
Can't do them all.
Yeah, it's hard enough to stock. Shoot, there's a lot of parts and pieces. It's hard. Yeah, it's a lot harder than you think. So yeah, no 3/4, but I can build whatever you want. So if you're gonna buy a bunch of them, then we can absolutely get 3/4 and source it a lot easier and at reasonable prices versus trying to get it online. It's real funky. And then none of those places that say they have it online, they don't actually have it. They're just trying to get it from the manufacturer, just throwing it out there retail. So I wouldn't mess with that. You'll end up with some funky, you end up with a pre-stoast or something like that.
Do you have any touch-up paint tips / advice for rock chips, etc.? I'm usually not happy with my results. I'm just hoping to improve my technique.
I'm no good at that. That's why I just Dr. Color chip it and call it a day. Anytime I've ever tried, I get some glob and then get it all on my fingers and I touch another part of the paint and get it everywhere. It never seems to work for me. I've tried those little pens and all kinds of stuff and I can never do it right.
All right, so that was Sean on Facebook. So Sean,
that's why I do Dr. Color Chip, because even idiot like me can do it. I can do it without messing it up. Versus trying to do it with actual paint, it just never works right.
Rowan wants to know, do we ship to the UK? We ship many products, not all, but many of our products to the UK, so yes. Like the pressure washers, would a budget and OG spec interior package make sense, or do you just plan to do one?
Just one. Yeah, just one, and then it'll be just like everything else, a la carte, so you can kind of buy what you need. The only really expensive part will be the Swiss Vax product, the leather cleaner and conditioner. That's the one, and so we'll have it separated out so that because not everybody has leather, so you don't want a leather cleaner. So we'll have to have Alcantara, fabric, and leather. So I'm going to have some iterations in the drop down so that people can kind of choose. And then, of course, you'll be able to just build a la carte, because I will call it I1, I2, I3, I4, I5, all the, however many products are in the package. We'll have that all sourced out and set up so that you can buy what you need. And then others can use it as a shopping list for Amazon.
We got a couple of comments on this. We need to check out Pressol spray bottles. So I wrote that down. We'll check that
I don't
out.
like those.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Also, last weekend, this led to a video about your HRE wheels that finally came in. You want to talk about those, how you like them, or what you like and dislike?
I think so. This is going to be good news for the 1M raffle. So I just bought Brembos for the 1M yesterday, because the Brembos are just amazing on the M3, just so good. They don't squeak. They're just awesome. I mean, I could rip my face off if I want, but they're tame and stock-like driving around town. It's amazing. So I bought same 380 millimeter 4-piston rear, 6-piston front, black with white lettering for the 1M. So the 1M just got even juicier for whoever gets that car in a few months. And then what I'm probably going to do is put the HREs on the 1M, because the offsets are a little weak on the M3. Dang it, I should have never let HRE pick. An idiot. I've got to go get the alignment done on both cars to make my assessment, but they're just a little too inset, which is great because there's no rubbing, there's no issues. But I think I don't want to run a spacer on my $12,000 wheels. That's ridiculous.
So then, do you have something in mind if you do replace them?
Yeah, I'm going to buy the same ones, just in
different.
5 millimeter more offset, which is ridiculous. But the HREs will go on. The 1M needs a little less aggressive offset, like the OE wheels. I got to see if they'll fit on the 1M, but I think they will. And so imagine Brembos and the R101s on the 1M.
It's gonna look nice.
That's spicy right there. Yeah, that's going to get people really fired up. Get me fired up. So now I don't even care about the M3 and alignment and all that. Now I pretty much convinced myself to put the HREs on the 1M. And so, yeah, now I've got a $90,000 1M shoot. So somebody's going to get hooked up for $50. But we got some cool shirts, hats, all kinds of stuff that's coming out for the 1M raffle that's coming up. And we're going to do it July. Soon we can get everything dialed in legally and all that stuff. From July to August. So
all of July, all of August. People have it done.
And I hope I don't lose 50 grand. So again, I'm being as candid as possible with this. I don't want to keep the 1M. It's too many cars, and so but I wanted to experience it. I really like it. It's fun. I like the M3 more. And so I'm going to choose to either sell it or raffle it. So let's make it fun. Let's raffle it. Let's see if I can make $300,000 selling the thing, and then I don't know. We'll see.
We can raffle the Camry too. Sell those Camry shirts.
Camry bonus. Use the Camry to pay the tax on the
there
car.
You go.
Yeah. You could sell the Camry.
That wouldn't cover the tax, I don't think.
So, and I know people aren't, just like the Pressol bottles, I know people aren't going to like that either. About, Matt's making all this money off of you sheep. Well, what do you think all these other goofball YouTube guys are doing? Do you think they're giving away cars? They're not giving away squat. They're trying to make money, and they're just not telling you. I'm just telling you. I have a choice, man. Which would you choose? So I can do something cool that creates promotion for the business and the brand, and then raffle the car, and somebody gets it, and that'll be fun to do. Or I could sell it. And lose a few bucks, so I can make a bunch of money and raffle it and create buzz for the business. Only just do it candidly, so it's not super douchey. Or I could sell it and lose some money. Which would you do?
I would choose the first one.
Yeah,
I have to think about it, but I'd choose the first one. I'm looking at your calendar here on Saturday. You have some sort of
Oh, good thing you reminded me.
Yeah.
I probably would have forgotten.
So what is that? Do you want to
No,
speak
the
to that?
P-Car podcast. So we're going to do a joint podcast. I'll probably release it on mine, and they'll release it on theirs. And so we're going to talk Porsches, and but there are a couple of local. I think they're in St. Augustine, so they're coming down, check out HQ, and then we're going to shoot or record a podcast here, and so we'll be doing that on Saturday afternoon. But that's that'll be cool. That'll be fun. So again, we could do 2 episodes, but I think it'd probably be better because then you end up being redundant. So I think we'll just do 1 episode and do it on mine and on theirs, so that people can find them and their people can find me, and it'll be good.
And then next week you're gone all week pretty much on the Monterey trip.
Yep. I'm gonna, like I said that in the beginning of the podcast, so touring P&S. And then I come back for like 2 days, and I'm going to the Smokies, and I'll shoot all kinds of cool video up there too.
So have you found me a co-host for next week's podcast? Or are we just gonna skip?
And I don't know.
We need to get your mom in here. I know she'd love that. That's the last thing on earth she wants to do is be on microphone and camera. But
I don't know. We'll figure something out.
all right. Well, you have anything else to add here?
No, I'm talked out. I only got fired up a couple of times, so
That's good.
I don't have any closing rants. Yeah, things are going well. We're we gotta go find some more space to put stuff. We're gonna have to figure that out, and otherwise I'm never gonna be able to pull my car in here again. We got stacks of pallets, so hopefully you guys buy those power cords, get them out of here. I bought I have 280 something power cords that I've got to sell. Otherwise, I'm going to be, having to store them in my trunk and drive around town with them, or put them in my my kitchen in my dining room. So anyway, yeah, that's been great. So hopefully I don't run everybody here into the ground. You guys keep supporting the cause here, so I really appreciate that. Anyway, thanks for watching this one, and if you're listening on the podcast, keep listening. I promise you at some point we're going to do more podcast content, interviews, stuff like that. But for now, we've been